Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at the Tier 9 Premium Dutch Destroyer, Friesland. And yes, you heard that right, it comes from the Netherlands, and your nether regions might be excited by this game, so warning, you might enjoy what you see. It is a great ship. It is a wonderful experience. It is work in progress, of course. The stats are not final, but I want to go through the pros and cons of it, and hopefully you can enjoy the ride because boy, is this thing awesome. Now, obviously, Dutch, there's no tech tree for the Dutch. There won't be any tech tree for the Dutch because, let's face it, no offense, Dutch, you probably can't field a full fleet by yourself. You know, you guys are very effective at many things. Manufacturing a lot of ships and fielding it for naval power, probably not the best. So what Wargaming is going to be doing is they're creating a new pan-European tech tree, and they're tying in the Boyskovica. Similar situation, right, Poles? You probably can't field a full fleet. And Wargaming recognizes that. So what they're going to do is going to move the Boyskovica over to this new tech tree, the pan-European. You'll still be able to equip the Polish flag. Obviously, I can't show you the Netherlands flag because it's not available for me to select, but I assume it will be when the pan-European fleet arrives and when the ship is released. But the pan-European fleet is supposed to allow Wargaming to release ships for European countries that can't field a full fleet. Now, that doesn't mean that the Italians are getting in there because they deserve their own, and eventually they will. But, you know, the smaller European countries with, you know, very capable naval power like, oh, I don't know, Switzerland. Obviously, I'm teasing, but the pan-European tech tree allows for more unique designs to come in and fill a role, just like the Pan-Asian, and I'm excited for that. I expect that you'll be able to switch in their flag that's associated with each country, and for the Dutch, I hope the Netherlands flag will be available. I don't know, though. You know, it's up in the air as far as what will actually be in the game, because I got to see this Dutch ship piloted by Poles with a Polish flag, so, you know, I can't verify that that's going to be it. You know, it's got a really interesting design. No torpedoes. It only has 4 120mm guns. But as you can see, it only needs 4. Because, wow, does it just machine gun people down with its damage per minute. The base reload is somewhere in the realm of 1.8 seconds. I've got it buffed up with basic firing training and the rate of fire module to 1.4. And all I do is sail, kill DDs, and hold that mouse button down. And it just machine guns out. On top of all of the gun system and the lack of torpedoes, you have 3 equipment. You can use smoke, defensive AA, and hydro. You can't switch them out. There's no other option. You can't use speed boost. You can't use main battery reload. You can't use radar. This is what you get. But what you get is pretty awesome. This is the Tier 9 German hydro. This is the one that's equipped to the Z46, which is appropriate because it's a Tier 9 ship. I saw some people like, it doesn't have the Z52 6-kilometer range, 4-kilometer torpedo detection. Yeah, because it's not Tier 10. Only the Z52 has that, by the way. But it's pretty good either way with its hydro. It has a legendary AA power. Just watch this. This is a Tier 8 versus a Tier 9. I activate defensive AA, and we just watch as the Enterprise's aircraft just melts away. See you later. Every last one of you. Is this going to be every single aircraft that we could shoot down? Yeah, we shot down 19. Like they were nothing. So that's sort of the gain for losing torpedoes. Your AA is outstanding. Probably the best AA in the game, tier for DDs. I can't really say if it's better than the Grozo Void, you know, at Tier 9 versus Tier 8. It feels better. I do just as good against the Midway and the Haku and the Audacious, and those are Tier 10s. So as far as I'm concerned, it's excellent. But clearly, the guns are great. The AA is great. Oh yeah, and it has a little train horn, by the way. The guns are great. The torpedoes are not great because there's no torpedoes. but the equipment is very usable. I believe it has American-style smoke, or at least the average. It's not German. It's very good. It obviously has defensive AA, and it has that German hydroacoustic, which allows you to sort of brawl in and around smoke, which you're probably going to have to do because your concealment sucks. 6.4 is the absolute best you can hope to get with everything buffed up, you know, camo, commander, and module. Unfortunately, or fortunately for the opposition, it has terrible speed, and it can't equip speed boost. The consumables that you see equipped to the ship, those are the only options. So the picture's very, very weird, right? You're sort of so incredibly dominant AA-wise. I mean, I already shot down 31. 2 passes by the enemy. I don't even think they got a single drop-off, right? It doesn't have any short range inside of 1 kilometer, but I have yet to see an aircraft carrier get within 1 kilometer of my ship, if I'm being completely honest. It's that scary. And it may be too scary, but that's what we have presented right now. The ship itself looks great. I love the camo. I love the detail. It has a lot of cool features. The guns themselves have a lot of detail as well. You know, sharp lines, good texture. It's got the canvas bag or whatever to keep the guns, you know, looking like they have a protection from the elements. And it works. It looks great. It plays great, and it feels great. There's really nothing to say about like it being disappointing. We've already got 3 kills, and we've already shot down 31 aircraft. So it absolutely excels at what it wants to do. Damaging the hell out of everything and hoping that the enemy DDs get baited into your clutches. Because the only way this ship sucks is if it is detected by superior DDs. And there's a lot of superior DDs concealment-wise outside of the Kaaba that will just straight up be better than this. So you're giving up a lot. You're giving up a lot of concealment and speed for the firepower and the equipment. But if you can, you know, work with your advantages and minimize your disadvantages, there's really nothing that compares to the damage output of this from a gun standpoint, you know. Maybe the Harugamo and the Daring can get a sniff of it, a whiff of it, but I mean, it's just a machine gun. Absolutely a machine gun. And it's a really sort of chill experience, just holding on the mouse button and just seeing it just constantly going out towards the enemy. Really good fire chance. I'm already up to 5 fires in this game. 5 fires, really. And against a low armor target like a cruiser, the British 120s work just fine. You could switch to AP, but do you really need to? You know, you're doing chip damage, plus you're getting fires. It's a win-win. Good shell arc. Very usable, up to, obviously, the range of the guns. I wouldn't really recommend extending out the range on these guns. Not that it's, like, impossible to hit. It's just really hard, you know, because they are pretty floaty. So if you keep all that in mind, you keep the speed in mind, it can very well excel in almost any scenario, as long as you keep in mind that this ship has strengths and weaknesses. But if you know, try and play it out like a typical DD, you don't have torpedoes. So if a DD is trying to rush you, or a battleship or a cruiser, in your smoke, you pretty much only have your guns to deal with it. And your guns do a good job. It just takes them a really long time to do that job. There's very little burst here. I've seen people complain that it basically can never get a devastating strike. And I tend to agree, because it's a bunch of little needles doing damage to the enemy. There's nothing that can burst at all. And if you ever get in a situation where maybe your team loses out on its advantage and you have to sort of shoot your way out, damaging the enemy enough so that you can, you know, claw back any advantage, it's going to be really, really hard in this ship. It's just not really designed for that. It really wants to win the initial engagement against DDs and use that as leverage for the mid-game to the late game. Now, Obviously, it's a very close game. We've already done 69,000 damage. We've got 4 kills, but there's still more on the table, and the enemy Fletcher is on the table. And what you love to see in the Friesland is a DD out in the open. It will just chew this thing up. It'll chew it up so fast that it doesn't even have a chance to stop in its smoke, and that's exactly what I'm going to try to do here. It doesn't have 360 gun turrets. The angle of fire is... it's not the best, but it's not the worst. You know, it's very usable in that regard. But obviously, the 360 gun turrets of the Daring and the Jutland will be more attractive if you're trying to take full advantage of a gun system similar. And the gun systems are very similar. But the Hydro lets you basically never take torpedoes. You can also bull rush an enemy in smoke if you get a chance, and you should bull rush enemies in smoke if they're DDs, because your guns are just going to kill them. I mean, think about the Harugumo's damage per minute. This has the same damage per minute or higher, but it has maneuverability. It has hydroacoustic. It has defensive AA. It has a lot of tools that the Harugumo wishes it had, but it can't, because if it did, it would be even more overpowered than it already is. But giving up the torpedoes, that's a big give. That's a huge, huge give up. You're talking about any way of bursting a target down, any way of dealing with a battleship out in the open. Once you use your smoke, you know, what are you going to have? You don't really have anything once you've used your smoke. You know, late game, it might be an issue where the enemy team is able to still hold on, but you just can't shoot your way out of the problem. There's not enough time, and you don't have enough health. So you really have to conserve at the beginning of the game, take advantage of enemy DDs that overextend. But if that doesn't happen, you know, let's say you play in a random battle, and for whatever reason, the enemy actually does what they're supposed to do. You know, they don't overextend, they don't give you anything, they have a 2-base-to-1 advantage. Trying to get that advantage back is very complicated with this ship. And I don't know that it'll ever not be. You know, you can't allow it to get out of hand, or you won't have enough time to recover. Unlike a torpedo boat. You know, a Shima has plenty of time because one of its torpedoes one-shots a DD, and 2 or 3 is enough to kill a battleship outright, which you will never experience on the ship, ever. But what you will experience, man, it is a sight to behold. I mean, look at the kind of damage output we're doing just with 4 guns on 2 gun turrets. I mean, the guns are never stopping firing. The accuracy's, you know, very usable. The penetration's adequate. The fire chance is robust. It has a lot of features that is really appealing. And I don't really find that there's issues with the ship itself. Like, it has a really well-designed gameplay mechanic loop. It has terrible concealment, terrible speed. It has to rely on the enemy sort of making a mistake. And this chappie, he kind of is just going for broke because he sees how effective I'm being. We've done 160,000 damage, 6 kills already. I'm trying to get a 7th kill, but man, is he going to go at me hard. And I can't punish this. I have nothing to punish the person coming towards my ship. Similar to something like the American heavy cruisers versus, you know, the Japanese cruiser line or the German cruiser line. A lot of cruisers have torpedoes, which will discourage this type of counter. But if you see that, you know, the American heavy is left alone, this is the best thing you can do. Close the distance and force him into an uncomfortable position, because he can't screen at all. There's nothing he's ever going to run into that's on my end. And unfortunately, we were stuck being burnt down, but the chappie, he got his. And that was our 14th and final fire of the game. 14 fires on a DD. That sounds like a light cruiser, you know, with 4 or 5 times the amount of guns. It is very powerful when the player is allowed to take advantage of its strengths. If the player is unable to, you know, it's getting chased down, which is easy to do with its speed. if it's having to deal with multiple battleships with, full life. Everyone's been there, right? Man, the game's not going well, my team has lost the flank, and I'm just trying to salvage. Well, you're going to salvage really poorly because you don't have the burstiness, the ability to dev strike. Your dev strike is detonation, an RNG ability. So in that regard, it is kind of disappointing that you're not sort of doing what DDs do best, and that is delivering torpedo payloads to very big ships. That's just not going to be something you do. If that's what you're looking for, you're never going to get it from the Friesland. But if you're annoyed, like half the player base seems to be as a DD player, getting harassed until you're dead by air, this is the ship for you. I have not seen a DD with better AA. And I've played a lot of DDs. It is terrifying how quick it works through air, both tier 8, but also tier 10. Very similar outcome, very similar success rate I have found with its AA when fighting off enemies going towards it. So I think this is a right time for a DD to be released like this. There are players out there who, they are frustrated. They feel like they have less power than maybe they should in the DD versus CV gameplay. The Friesland is going to give all the power back to the DD. And it's pretty fun to watch a full squadron just pop like it didn't even exist. And it's a very rewarding thing. It's funny. I said there's no devastating strike capability. Oh, there is. You can devastatingly strike the enemy squadron out of existence and force him to have to rearm and be more useless than he was attacking your ship. Now, players are going to learn, don't attack this ship as an aircraft carrier. If they see it, they are going to be terrified. But you're a DD. You can keep your AA turned off. You can get him inside of 4 or 5 kilometers, turn it on, turn defensive AA on, and kill his squadron 100-0 before it has time to even escape. It is just really powerful with the gun systems and with its AA. And I think that's adequate for players to have interest in it. What else can I say about it? Obviously, pan-European. If you're one of the few people that got like 4 or 5 Boyskowicas with 10 skill commanders a couple Christmases ago, you'll be happy to know that since they're going to be changing the Polish tech tree to pan-European, those commanders will be rolled in to sort of a pan-European. So you'll be able to double up with commanders on the Boyskowice or the Friesland if you would like to. You don't have to use the same commander, but it's an option, unlike the option that you don't have right now. The Boyskowice is literally the only Polish ship probably ever going to be put in the game. But that kind of sucks, because you have a limited amount of commanders that you can swap in and out and benefit from. But for the Friesland, a big old A+ by me. I think it's a complete success from a ship. It has really clear cons with really clear pros. And once the player base recognizes those pros, you might see it dip in its performance, but that's okay because its performance is incredibly powerful right now. You're going to see exactly what I did this game, and you're just going to be like, how is this balanced? This is a example of, DDs who sailed into death. Don't ever sail towards a Friesland. If you're a DD, you will be outdamaged, even if he's at 50% life. If you're an aircraft carrier, don't ever fly over this thing if you can help it. Really, don't fly over it. But if you're something like a battleship, and if you get a shot on it, take it, because he's going to trade so much more than what you are capable of doing. Now, here's the outcome. 6 kills, 14 fires, 2 base capture, 170,000 damage done, 3,205 base XP with 36 aircraft shot down. I shot down almost as much as the Alabama. He did 38. Most of our damage, of course, is our guns. As it should be, it's the only damage. And it was really fun to damage in this way. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent and the most relevant uploads. You can also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do daily World of Warship videos, first impression how-to, review, news related. This is my North American recruit invite if you would like to take advantage of it. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.